satisfied with the movement and what is happening on the ground. It is slowly, it's a decade problem, so we are not going to move in one day. We can't be hard on ourselves. The damage is done, all right, but we are aware and we have opened our eyes now. So we're not going to stop whistleblowing. There is nobody who is going. We've got the hawks on the ground. Anytime you flash anything, we are on you. Anytime we lay our eyes on you, anytime we see you in the club flexing as usual, you make any noise, we are on you. Period. They are going to leave. Nigerians will leave because 99% of them are not legit anyway. So by the end of it, we are going to attract the ones we want, the ones we see in UK, in America, the skilled guys, the guys who are ready to invest and follow the law. Our government is in cooperation with their government anyway, so that diplomacy is there. It's not going anywhere. We're not asking for it to go. We need them on that field as much as they need us. But if they're not going to respect, do as we do in our own place, they will never, ever find no peace. But we cannot trust them. It's been 20 years. We've seen what they're capable of. These are new activities for us, so we know. So they are identifiable at this stage. We do know who's who. We are only talking here because we're sending a message to our government. This talk is for our government to hear us. We are ready in any manner, in any action. We are ready for anybody who's doing illegal stuff anyway, regardless. Citizen arrest is on the floor. If people catch you, you're on your own because you're not supposed to do that, what you're doing anyway. This is just a cry out loud so that our government can actually hear us. We are not interacting with Nigerians in Nigeria. We don't care about those ones. Every time we speak about Nigerians, it's because there's a good number and it's Nigerians because it's more than one. And the Nigerians we're talking about, they are the ones in South Africa. I don't know where these outside Nigerians like to involve themselves and talk and talk and talk. The reason the Nigerians we need is the ones that are in South Africa. We need them to contribute to us. Help us if you think we are right or say something. Do not just sit there and continue doing this illegal stuff.
Governmental came up with a solution. Now we're going to listen to a South African solution. So your solution and moving forward, every entire Nigerian in South Africa needs to go home and recess? Or are you specifically talking about foreigners? But our focus is Nigeria and South Africa. But let me put it to Nigeria. Are you saying all Nigerians in South Africa needs to pack their bags and go home and recess?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes, unless you've got a scarce skill that we need and we will review you, you are not staying. Go back and recess. Find out why you're traveling. You have to be contributing to the country, not costing them.
No problem. Okay, no problem, miss. Let's talk about let's be technical about it. What is the technicalities we can go through in terms of removing all Nigerians in the country? Where do we start? Let's talk about the action, the plan of action. Every business has a plan of action. So how does South Africa have a plan of action? And what's the technical movement of how we're going to be able to remove all Nigerians? We are not bashing. We're coming up with solutions. We want to find out why South Africans don't like Nigerians, why Nigerians are bashing on South Africans. And we are looking for a way forward into coincide, work together moving forward. If you cannot be able to do so, give us the technicalities and give us a plan of action. What is your plan of action, miss? Let's say you were the president of South Africa. And citizens of South Africa came with a voice note and said to you, no, you know what? We got a problem with Nigerians. As the president of South Africa, what would be your plan of action?
I'm obviously on the ground already and I'm listening to people. People are becoming whistleblowers, right? People are indirectly taking the matter into their own hands. It's illegal, but at the end of the day, if you are not doing anything illegal, you wouldn't be affected. Right? We are going to be whistleblowers. We are going to review each and every document that has been produced before, no matter what the circumstance is. When you come to renew, those documents need to be reviewed. There is a lot of fake marriages. involved. We have channels on the ground that are complaining of our women of being taken advantage of by getting married. Number one. Number two, the whistleblowing is on the ground already because you don't know who's who. We have Dudula on the ground. We also have all these, other channels that are playing, showing us, when they're catching the powder guys on the ground, so on and so on. So those are the things we are going to project, and we're not going to stop. We have to keep going and keep going. Those who know what is safe for them will leave, and those who are genuine will fix themselves. We want to stay with people we can trust. That's as simple as that. There's nothing wrong in asking for safety. We want to be safe, and we want to know who we reside with. We're not going to be lost in our own place. We're not going to stay around dirty places. Just don't go and do funny sort businesses and think you're going to be accepted. Guys, we're not going to keep quiet. We're always going to come across you guys as if we are, we are pushing you, backwards or clashing with you all the time until this stops. It's unusual for us. We are shocked. We are traumatized. We want to move on with you, change the character and stay with us, or go back home. Go home, reset, reformat, find who you are, find what you want to do for your life, or move elsewhere. There's nothing about brother or sisterly wood here. We are trying to move on, but we are not going to move on when you are on my ground and threatening me. My life and my kids mean a lot to us. The same way your children are growing in South Africa, I'm sure you want them to be safe in South Africa again. So how are we going to do that when you don't stop all the activities? The activities are affecting everybody. We will be together in the future, not now. We need to go and reformat, guys. We don't need each other at the moment. We will be combined and be one force at some point in life, but not now. We are too different, and we do not have respect. We have no respect for each other, and that's not going to help us anywhere. So we're not moving forward. Until that's done, we're not going nowhere.
Okay, guys. What I'd like to ask before anybody can interject on that, Black, I would like to find out from Miss. When you say so, is this the solution from South Africa? I'd like South Africans on the comment section to please comment and voice out your comments. Is it the best solution of having? I'm gonna specifically say the Nigerians because the topic is about Nigerian and South Africa. Are y'all saying, and Miss, are you stating that Nigeria as a whole in South Africa needs to go back home and recess? Can you please?
In this particular spectrum, when they deported thousands of Ghanaians, Zimbabwe did it when they deported Malawians and Mozambicans in the early 90s. So I think that's the best solution. Everything will fall into place after that. And there's a need to reset the trends of my
or understand what I was trying to put across. Hercules, he said we are helpless. There's nothing that we can do about this situation. That's what he said. That's why I came back.
There's a better answer to that question than threatening people.
He said,
don't do that. It's irresponsible.
Let me tell you something. I didn't threaten anyone. I did not threaten anyone. He said we are helpless, and I told him we are not helpless, and it's not like there's nothing we can do.
Guys leaving us to stay in their country for such a long time because we are not xenophobic. Yeah,
no problem, guys. You are open to interject. You're open to comment. Everybody's open. The panel is open to comment.
Host, just a quick one before I have to run. I just wanted to say, firstly, there should not be an expectation on South Africa to have to foot the bill to deport people who came in here illegally. That should not be an expectation. Simply because it's also a waste of money and a waste of resources, because you get deported today on the bill of South African citizens, and then you come back tomorrow again, and then we have to do the same thing over and over again. What needs to happen is that we need to apply pressure on these governments, like the same way that the UAE did to the Nigerian government. with their citizens, right? We gather them up, we put them in their pajamas with their suitcases, we put them in an airport, we implore the Nigerian government to, what do you call this thing? Whenever you have to take your citizens out because of a pandemic, what do you call that? What's the collective word for that again? The basic resources, and it's up to the Nigerian government if they want to uphold the dignity of their people to decide whether they are going to dignify people who came into the country illegally. And on top of that, Zimbabweans, because we hate them. If we did, then I would understand that we would make their lives a living hell. But we are fighting them because of the crimes that they are committing in our country. And they cannot be our burden. We are not responsible for their reputation. We are not responsible to make sure that they behave themselves in a manner that is becoming. We need to gather them up, put them in an airport. Their government needs to come and get them. If not, South Africa can fly them. However, the Nigerian consulate in South Africa needs to sign a commitment that they will pay for those flights. It shouldn't be on our dime. How can you get someone who comes into your country, sells your children powder, grapes your children, abducts your children, human traffics your children, and then at the end of the day, they expect you to pay for them to leave the country and go home without any consequences? It's nonsensical. So as a South African, it should not be dependent on us, as the Zimbabwean brother was suggesting, that it should be us who pays for the bill. It should be their government who does that. It's the same thing with medical assistance. Zimbabweans who come into South Africa for medical assistance, fine, right? When I say fine, I have a little bit of empathy for women who have to give birth. Then they have to give birth in a safe environment. I have empathy for that. However, that should not be number one at the expense of South African citizens. Number one, a South African citizen should not be giving birth on the floor to give a bed for somebody else. Secondly, the Zimbabwean government should be charged for all of those services. They should be charged for those services. It should not be on our dime. We are tired of being the Dr. Phil and Oprah Winfrey of Africa. Everybody's getting one. Come in, come one, come all. It's nonsensical. We are not therapists in South Africa. We're a country and we need to operate. And what needs to happen is mass deportation. They all need to go. If anyone wants to come back in, they need to come back in through the mercy of our authorities, and they need to bring in a skill. They can't just come in willy-nilly. The Nigerian consulate says we've got 500,000 illegal Nigerians in South Africa. Illegal. It's more than that, obviously, but they say 500,000 illegal. And now as South Africans, we are expected to just formalize those people and register them and make them registered citizens. It's nonsense. You can't come into a country illegally and expect to be formalized. Thank you so much, host.
Emphasize on one thing, man. I think Nigerians want to be heard and they don't want to hear us. I feel like we are saying that, these things are happening to us at home. We are at home. Home, you're supposed to be safe. With all of these things, the crimes that we're being exposed to, our children, our sisters, all of them, we are at home. Where do we run to if we are home? If these things were happening to me while I was in Nigeria, I would run back to South Africa. But if I'm in South Africa and I'm being violated in my own home, in my own land, where am I supposed to run to? They can run back home, but we cannot run anywhere else because the crime is here. The drugs, our kids, our cousins are being forcefully drugged. People are getting human trafficked. All of these things are happening in our own homeland where we are supposed to feel safe, where we are supposed to raise kids and people are supposed to grow up and be productive. How do we do that? How are we supposed to be comfortable with that on our own land? The same way they should be fair, because if this was happening to them in their land, they were not going to tolerate it. They were not going to have it. But we must have it because we are going to seem some type of way, or we are going to look like we don't like people.
You mind answering them? Where are you from, host?
No problem. Sorry?
Where are you from?
South Africa.
Are you South African?
Yes, I'm South African, proudly South African.
The comments, I've seen comments saying you're from Botswana and
No. The problem with people who ask questions on the comment, when somebody asks a comment, when